Bonjour. Bienvenue. Welcome to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. You are coming to dinner, not to dinner today, but you are coming with me on my trip to Paris. I thought it would be nice to just see something different. You know, people say they go on vacation and they come back and show you a lot of pictures, but it's different when you just share it and they can tell the stories with you about certain things that they saw or places that they went or food that they ate. Um, and then they can also tell you about some of their friends that live in these exotic places that a lot of people go. Paris is not that exotic, but it's very romantic. And if you have not been, put it on your bucket list. Put it on your bucket list. Um, Last month, my husband and I, we were actually planning to go to Paris March of 2020, but naturally COVID invaded and France wasn't letting Americans into their country, and America really wasn't letting us fly out to other countries because everybody needed to stay away from people, be quarantined. So after a 3-year wait, we had the chance to go. And so we went. Pastor Jack Miller and myself, we had a glorious time. And we'd like to share part 2 of Paris once again for me and the first time for Jack Miller. Okay. Some of the things that I'm gonna share with you have a story behind them. Some don't. Some are just, I'm trying to move my screen right. It's not exactly correct. Some things just happened along the way, meeting new people and taking my husband to places that I had frequented before, and that drew me and the affection that I have for the city of Paris. Um, we didn't watch any news. I didn't need to watch any news. I was just up to here with news. And no news, not many phone calls, so people weren't calling us over there. We were talking to people that lived in Paris mostly. And so we're going to start out. We're going to start out with a couple of the landmarks. We went to Sacré-Cœur. We did a lot of traveling on the metro, you know, because you can really do Paris easily on the train system. They have a fabulous train system, somewhat like New York. I don't know who patterned theirs. I think New York patterned their metro system after Paris. But one of the first places, not the first places, maybe say our second or third day, we went to, let me do this right. We went to the church at Sacré-Cœur. Okay. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add this to the stream. And that's Sacré-Cœur. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Give me just 1 second. I'm working with this, y'all, so bear with me. Okay, don't need to see me, just need to see, watch this, the church. So let me just make the church bigger and take me out. All right, there we go. That was the church at Sacre Coeur. Has a lot of steps that you have to climb, but now they have a lift that will take you up to the church. It's just one of the landmark sites in Paris. It looks down on the whole city of Paris. You can see uh, the layout from east to west when you are at the top of Sacre Coeur. And it's also a great place for restaurants and cafes. Great place to get souvenirs and things of that nature. So we spent a couple of days up by Sacre Coeur. Um, it's also a place where a lot of immigrants live, a lot of Africans, a lot of Arabs, um, and a lot of people, artsy people. Sacre Coeur is right next door to Pigalle, and Pigalle is more or less the red light district of Paris. So, what I'm going to share with you is I'm going to do. There we go. We've got that's us at the Louvre. Um, all right, there we go. There we go. Okay, these are pictures of us at the Louvre. We didn't go inside. It was a pretty day, so we just stayed outside. These are some of the beautiful statues that you can see on the outside. Um, they were in glassed at the Louvre. Okay. All right. Let's see. We're going to remove that one. There we go. And see, when you go to Paris, you go to you go see the Louvre, you go to Sacre Coeur, you see Notre Dame. They had just finished putting the steeple back on Notre Dame, but for some reason we didn't get over there. Um, so we were, well, naturally me, I was more entranced as usual with this building right here, this Tour Eiffel, which is a gorgeous place. So before we went to the Eiffel Tower, I happened to go take my husband by a couple of places that I used to work, a couple of hotels. The very first hotel I worked at in Paris was called the Royal Monceau. The Royal Monceau was a very high end, like it's a 5-star hotel. But they hired me and gave me 3 months of work in the piano bar, just myself and a pianist. And this all was happening during the invasion of Kuwait. And because the war was going on in Kuwait, there are a lot of different attitudes and feelings about um, a lot of the Arabs that live in Paris. So there weren't a lot of customers during that time. It was somewhat quiet. I worked 3 nights a week. I worked Thursday through Saturday. And I was able to get my carte de séjour. Now, carte de séjour is the same thing as getting your green card in America. So I was working legally my very first 3 months in Paris. And it was a beautiful hotel. And so let's take a look. Let's go check out. Let's go check out. I'm going to take that one out. Okay. I'm going to take this one off. And I'm going to put this one up. That's the front of the Royal Monceau. I don't know if you've got it. No, you don't have it on your screen because I haven't shared it with you. Okay. All right, here we go. Add to the screen. There you go. That's the front of the Royal Monceau Hotel. It's also a hotel where Madonna filmed one of her videos. It's known for that when I first got over there. I don't think it's known for that anymore. They had totally remodeled this hotel. Before it was very castle like, and now it became very sexy and modern with all the beautiful chandeliers. The color scheme was a little subdued, but it gave it a very chic, sexy atmosphere to me. These little balls hanging down. This is in the foyer area of the hotel when you come in. You don't see the counter where you check in or anything. You just come into this grand opening of the hotel. And I wanted to go and see if the piano bar was there. The piano bar was no longer there. There was just a bar that was more boutique type of a setting, no piano, no music. They didn't have any music there, and said they hadn't brought that back yet since they redid this about 5 years ago. And then we went to the we went to the Le Meridien Etoile Hotel, where the room was called at that time the Lionel Hampton Jazz Club. They've since changed it to just the Jazz Club. But that's where I used to do some shows, especially in the month of May. I remember mostly because that's when a lot of the musicians were coming into France, getting ready to do all of the festivals that are held over Europe from mid May to say mid to the end of June. Montreux Jazz Festival. You've got South Sea Jazz Festival. I think that's the name of it. But it's about 3 or 4 different jazz festivals that go on. And one night while there, I met Fats Domino. I was performing, and he was staying in the hotel and came down and listened to me while I was performing. I don't know if he necessarily came just to listen to me, but he was there. Okay. And some other people were there. Forrest Whitaker was there once. Um, and Wynton Marsalis came through and challenged myself and a couple of other young ladies to a game of basketball, which did not happen. He didn't show up. I'm gonna say he didn't show up because I don't think we showed up either after that night in the Etoile in the Lionel Hampton room. And then we have oh my going, I'm doing you a slideshow. It's another picture. And this is the advertisement in front of the jazz club telling you about that you get dinner with the concert, and that this price for the year, £90. Not £90. I keep wanting to say pounds. They are now euros. When I lived in Paris, everything was francs. So I kept having to correct myself by not saying francs and saying euros. Okay. And that's just part of the tour I took my husband on. He was very obliging. He just went along with me wherever I wanted to take him. He was willing to go and see. Me and Jack Miller had a good time. We walked at least one day. We walked 15,000 steps. So he was like, "So you walk 15,000." That meant he walked 15,000. And we got plenty of exercise. So if you need some exercise with your partner, go to Paris and take the metro, because you will walk. You will definitely walk. Okay, so that was our trip to the Roy Monceau and the Meridian Etoile. And then we spent the day, okay, we spent the day at La Tour Eiffel. Like this. There we go. Aha. There we go. We spent the day. I'm trying to get it, so here we go. The day at the Eiffel Tower. It's a beautiful edifice. I mean, you just gotta go see it for yourself. And okay, so this is supposed to be my slideshow. What's next? There's me and Jack Miller at the foot of the Eiffel Tower. Then we were on the boat having dinner and at the foot of the Eiffel Tower, having a good time. We met some people from Colombia, the country Colombia, yes. And then voila. Oh, come on. It's time for the lights to come on. The night the lights came on in Paris. Yes, baby. We want to see them come on. You know, some things, it's a once in a lifetime experience. What you see, what you feel, oh la la. It needs to come on because I'm getting tired of holding the phone. What are you doing, Jack Miller? Turn on the lights. So, what time do you have on your watch? 9:59. Oh. It should be on an automatic something, huh? On this side, the top is lit. Oh, oh. Ah, oui, oh là là. Ah, ah. C'est super. Yes, yes, yes. It's the Tour Eiffel à Paris. And we see the lights come on. Where are you from?
Spain.
Spain? Okay, d'accord. Look at that. It's gorgeous.
Oh,
oh la la. The boat's rocking. We rock the boat. Super, Jack, huh?
Beautiful.
They're absolutely beautiful. Oh la la. All right. That took us to the Eiffel Tower. We spent the day there earlier one day, and then we went back for dinner. Um, it's just, there's a lot to do. I mean, in most cities, you can find a lot to do, but in Paris, there's really a lot to do. And to go with someone that you love it's a city of love, and you see hand holding and hugging and kissing all day long. So then you feel a sense of freedom to be able to have PDAs, public displays of affections. Sometimes Americans don't want to be as open about their feelings as French are. They want to make something of it to be an affectionate in public. Ain't nothing wrong with that, being affectionate in public. If I feel like I want to kiss you in public, I'm going to kiss you in public. Ain't that right, baby? He said thumbs up. Yeah, right. So that was the day that we spent at the Eiffel Tower, and the night we had dinner on the boat. One of the other things that happened, and I don't have it yet because I took the footage. Actually, Jack shot the footage on my tablet. and I need to. It needs some work before I can actually just bring it to you to show it to you. But while we were there, I have to go back and tell a little bit of a story. When I lived in Paris, I wrote my first musical production called French Kiss. And French Kiss started with the um, landing on the beaches of Normandy. French Kiss, unlike there was a movie called An American in Paris, my French Kiss is a Black American in Paris, but it was called French Kiss. And it started with the landing on the beaches of Normandy with the war because there were a lot of Black soldiers that did not come home. They stayed, they lived in Paris, in France. Not all of them in Paris, but in France in general, because the French loved Black Americans, because we helped to liberate the French. Uh, you've heard about the Tuskegee Airmen, you've heard about the Mumford Point Marines. You haven't heard enough about the Mumford Point Marines, so uh, I'm on a mission to make sure that you know more about the Mumford Point Marines, of which my stepfather, John T. Covington, was one. Um, so anyway, I wrote this musical, and I found out what I was doing was there were so many Americans that I had met in Paris, singers and musicians and dancers. So I thought maybe I could put something together where we were bigger as a group than we were individually. Thus, French Kiss. Um, so Normandy, the Normandy area, the beaches of Normandy, Deauville, France, which is where the beaches of Normandy are. It's in the Normandy region. I was able to produce this musical in Deauville, France, on D Day for the 50th anniversary of D Day. I was able to, it came about, it was like a domino effect. One of the general managers of the hotel that I sang in told me, I told him I was working on this project, and he said, "Well, Janice," he said, "don't you know it's the 50th anniversary of D Day?" I said, "No." And he says, and I knew I had to do this musical on that day for it to have any significance. So he knew the people that owned this theater in Deauville. It's called the Centre International Deauville. It's called Centre International Deauville. And he called them, got me an appointment. I caught the train. I went up. I didn't have anything written on paper. I just pitched them my idea, what I wanted to do, and they listened. And they didn't give me a yes or they didn't give me a no. They showed me around the theater. They showed me around the city. I caught the train. I came back to Paris. A week or two later, and this was in January, maybe the 1st of February, it may not have been until March, they called me and said, "Janice, would you like to present your," they call it a spectacular, your musical for the finale of D-Day. They were going to show a lot of films about the war. Um, they were going to show these films all day long. And at the what would close out the evening for D-Day would be French Kiss. So that's what I did, and I filmed it. It was a showcase. They didn't hire me, but I had an investor, and this investor was a part of the American Legion Post #1. We have a lot of American Legion posts in the United States. Most of them are in the United States, but the very first one is in Paris, France. And so when I went back to Paris, I went to well, actually, I sent him an email. I sent the commander an email because I'm trying to find the gentleman who was my benefactor for French Kiss, who gave me invested the funds that I could even take 25 people to Deauville, France, on a chartered bus. 10 musicians, 10 dancers, 5 singers. Okay. And they put us up in the quarters where all the jockeys stayed, because that's where they sell a lot of, they have horse shows, and they have Arabian uh, horse auctions in Deauville. So we were put up there for the night. That's all we stayed, was one night. And it was the first time that the singers and the dancers and the musicians, that we were all on stage together. That was the very first time, because putting it together, the singers worked with the musicians. The dancers worked in, a gentleman by the name of Rick Odoms had a dance studio there. He auditioned the dancers, choreographed the dancers. My music conductor was a gentleman by the name of Mike Mesa. Mike Mesa was from California. And I had a very mixed group of musicians. I had Brazilian, Austrian, French, American. Yeah, I had 4 different nationalities um, that made up the band. And the singers were, you've seen Bruce Johnson, that lives in London now. My friend Michael Robinson, my friend Tails Allen, and Miss Debbie Davis. Debbie Davis is blowing up over in France right now. Um, I think she has something to do. I think she sang the French title song to The Lion King. I may not be right, but it sounded like Debbie Davis to me. I saw, you want to check her out, I saw a clip on Facebook where she was back in Paris doing something at Disney, and had it something to do with the Lion King, and she was surrounded by the cast of the Lion King. So, kudos, Debbie Davis. But that's what I did. That was my first musical that I ever wrote. So, um, to get back to the commander of the American Legion Post Number One, I sent him a message that I wanted to come talk to him. I wanted to find out about my benefactor. Well, he was 80 years old when I met him. I didn't think he would still be around, because that's been almost 30 years ago. And so he invited me to meet. So Jack and I went to meet the commander of the American Legion Post Number One. And he invited us to the Memorial Day ceremonies in Paris. Okay, now just get this. I'm setting this up because when you see it, it was just a historical moment. Um, Nobody knew that it was as historical as it is but Jack and myself. But I'm going to tell you, and if you tell somebody, they might be able to tell you how historical it was that my husband and I were invited to the ceremony at the tomb of the unknown soldier underneath the Arc de Triomphe. Got me? Underneath the Arc de Triomphe. And yes, I do have pictures of the Arc de Triomphe. So, what you don't know is at the end of World War II, someone, Charles de Gaulle or America, did not allow the black soldiers to march in the celebratory parade down the Champs-Elysees. There were no black soldiers. There's a picture of a lot of soldiers marching down the Champs-Elysees at the end of World War II, but none of them were black. Okay? So now here is myself and my husband in a procession. The Arc de Triomphe is at the top of Champs-Elysees. Okay? And we were invited to be in the procession to the tomb of the unknown soldier under the Arc de Triomphe on Memorial Day this year, 2023. And I'm saying, Jack, check this out. We are the only blacks in this procession. So now it was like it was in um, commemoration or to commemorate our black soldiers that did not get to march, that I and my husband mm, got to represent them on that day. Um, that was, excuse me, I get a little touched. Mm. It was very symbolic to me. Having written the musical, um, thinking about my stepfather, who's no longer with us, thinking about my benefactor, Dr. Toma, um, and thinking about all those black soldiers that really never ever really got their recognition, even in the United States. They didn't, when they came home from the war, they were sent back to be sharecroppers, okay, and sent back to have to deal with Jim Crow. So for us to be able to be a part of that, I have the whole ceremony on tape. It was something that had to be filmed because you might not have believed it if I just told you the story, but to see it and just to know that we were there and to know that I knew the significance of being there made it historical. You feel me? If I didn't know that the soldiers hadn't gotten to march, I would have just thought I got to march under the, walk under the Arc de Triomphe to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers. But I knew a whole bunch of black folks didn't get their just dues. And I felt like that day that my husband and I got to do that was a very special day. And it was very special to me. And it was special to my husband. And the commander was very excited to have us as his guest. So we took a lot of pictures, and it was a lot of pomp and circumstance, and I was honored to be invited. And we were honored to walk in the procession and just be a part of that commemoration. Okay. So you will see that. We don't have another, I guess Veterans Day is coming up next, but as soon as I get that piece of film edited, oh, you will be seeing it. I'm not waiting till any holiday because they're all gone. Memorial Day is gone. Veterans Day is not until what? November. I'm not waiting till November. I'll be in the next month or so. You will see that piece because it means a lot to me, and I'd like to share it with you. So then we go to, that was the Sunday night, Memorial Day. That was the Sunday before Memorial Day. We celebrate Sunday. They did it on, we celebrated on Monday. That celebration was on that Sunday. That was the 29th, that was the what, 28th of May. Because we came back on the 30th, which is Tuesday. Okay, there we go. That was the 28th of May. And I'll be bringing that to you very soon because I want you to see what that was like to know that they didn't allow our black soldiers to march down that street, the Champs-Elysees, which is one of the most expensive streets and well-known streets in the world after World War II. But that's one of the reasons that the French were so loving to our black soldiers that a lot of them didn't come home. They stayed in France. And the French have an affinity for black folks. You might not think so, but they do, because otherwise they could have been splicken die Deutsch. Yep. So the last night in Paris, my husband and I spent some time with my girlfriend Jill. Jill's from New York. Um, I saw Jill. I saw my friend Michael Robinson and his wife, Corinne. They fixed dinner for us. I saw my friend Teos, who moved back to Paris from, he was down in Florida for a while, and he came home and did what a lot of us have had to do, is come home and take care of his dad before his passing. But he went back to Paris, and um, I think he may have is working on his doctorate. I know he got his master's in voice, um, but he surprised me and showed up to Mike's house when we were invited to dinner. Um, and my friends that are there, Richard Allen, um, Linda Hopkins. I didn't see Linda. I didn't see Al. I didn't see a lot of people, but I think it was just kind of more of a trip for my husband. It wasn't about me trying to see all my friends. I wanted to see some of my friends, and some of my friends I did get to see, but um, it was just a time that I wanted to share, mostly for my husband. I wanted to show him the beauty of a beautiful city. Okay. So the last night we went to a restaurant called Le Relais La Entrecote. And we met this lovely couple. Now, I got to go back here and do this again. We met this very lovely couple. They were standing in line, and I have to tell you the story behind meeting them. Um, we had just left our last meeting with my girlfriend Jill, and she was telling me about this young gentleman who she had befriended. Jill is like the American ambassador in Paris. If you want to know somebody that knows every place to go, every vernissage, every atelier, every studio, anything that has to do with the arts, her name is Jill Danger. And Jill Danger is my girlfriend. And so we spent some time with Jill, and Jill told me about this young man because when I did French Kiss, I played Josephine Baker. You know, Josephine was a soldier. Josephine had dual citizenship. She became a citizen of France. Okay. And Josephine helped the soldiers win the war because um, she carried some of the messages on the back of her sheet music written in invisible ink. Okay. You may not have known that, but when she passed away, she was given full honors uh, at a burial in France as a soldier, as a French soldier. She was given the Legion of Honor, the medal called the Legion of Honor. So Josephine was all that. She was not just an entertainer and an international star. She was a soldier. Okay. So this gentleman, his name is, I've got his first name already, Mr. Bagley. At first I couldn't remember his last name, then I remembered everything else. And so my girlfriend Jill was telling me about this gentleman that he does a caricature of Josephine Baker. Well, somebody doing Josephine Baker, I gotta love him. So we had a chance meeting. So this is how it happened. Okay, this is the wonderful couple that we met. That's Mary Ann and that's Frank, her husband. Mary Ann's from San Francisco, and Frank is a Frenchman. Franck. He's a Frenchman, and but let me just show you what's going on at this dinner. We were standing outside talking to each other, and we decided to have dinner with each other. Okay. I'm here. Okay. Let's go. I'm here.
Bonjour, c'est moi.
Uncle.
This is called persistence.
Yes.
How many times?
I have,
What is
Yeah,
the definition of persistence in the Oxford Dictionary?
and it's
What
called,
is it?
it's called Do It Again. That's Marianne.
Yeah.
That's her husband.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
And that's my husband, Jack.
I'm taking a break.
But we have been sitting here. Marianne is really from San Francisco, but she fell in love with this fabulous Frenchman. So we've shared love stories, how we met each other. And he's a musician and he serenaded her and took her from her other boyfriend. I'm telling you all of her business.
She got all the main parts. That's correct. That about sums it up.
But I just want to say, you must come to Paris. We're in a restaurant that serves one dish. It's steak, fries,
And dessert.
and salad.
And a secret sauce. The
And a
secret sauce.
But don't ask for ketchup. You can't have a reservation. And what else?
And you have to wait in line for at least a half an hour to 45 minutes.
There you. And the name of the restaurant is
Le Relais d'Entrecôte.
Le Relais d'Entrecôte.
Yeah.
D'Entrecôte.
Yes.
That means come eat the steak. And I
That's
saw,
not what it means.
The
Is
fun is back.
yes, but I have to get another. She threw a kiss. I don't know if I can redo that, but
That was.
I think it might be a bit much.
Yeah.
But I just want to say I'm on my way home, so I'll see you next week. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Say bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
Guess who's coming to dinner? See you later. Ciao, baby. So what I'm saying to you right now is, now see, we had another couple here. Bonsoir, c'est moi. Guess who's coming to dinner? Audience, please meet Brian Scott
Bagley.
Bagley.
Hello.
Look, this is my new friend. We are in love with Josephine Baker, who lives in Paris, France. Brother man from Baltimore. Okay? And I just met him by chance. My girlfriend was telling me about him. I said, well, call him so I can meet him. She said, well, I can't force him to. Girl, please. Look, I go to eat dinner here at this restaurant. And who is outside? A jazz band is playing and he is singing. And I said, Jack. I said, is that the brother? Look. And it was the brother. So I want you to meet him. I'm going to tell you the story all next week on Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. See you later, baby. Does he look like the guy that Jill was talking about? Did you see the pictures of him? Huh? Did you see the pictures of the guy that said Jill said that did Josephine Baker?
No.
Get my camera broke. I bet that's him.
Stop right there and then they stop right there and then we go.
Well, that was the end of our. Oops. What? Let me think. Go away. That was the end of our trip to Paris. But stay tuned and keep a lookout for me showing you the Memorial Day tribute at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Paris. Um, it was very special. It was very special. Um, in the last couple of weeks, I've done an awful lot of different things. I went to Las Vegas to do Juneteenth to see what they do in Vegas for Juneteenth. When I lived there, I never really participated. I don't know if it was just I wasn't in town or I was always working. But last year, I was privy to celebrate Juneteenth here in Louisville when it was deemed a holiday by Mayor Fisher last year. This year, I went to Las Vegas to see what they were doing, and it was very interesting. I also did a master class for the West Las Vegas Arts Center for the youth that have summer camp. They have 2 months of summer camp. They're singers and dancers and writers and photographers and just youth that are full of enthusiasm and structure and character and just a joy to be around. And I also I went to meet Joy Reid. She was at U of L. And I also went to the Filson Society to meet the curator and see the exhibit for Rosenwald schools. These are some schools that were built back in the 19th century. Excuse me. But my grandfather also worked on Rosenwald schools. So it was important to me. The things that I know about anything having to do with my heritage or my lineage with my family, I follow up on. And so I'm going back on the 15th of July, where the curator will be coming back. And they talked about a tour to see some of these Rosenwald schools that were built. The Rosenwald project was, the schools were the idea of Mr. Rosenwald and Booker T. Washington. So if you don't know about that, the exhibit is ongoing at the Filson Society as we speak. And it'll be there for, I think, another month or another 15 days. Excuse me. But I hope you enjoyed going to Paris with me. I enjoyed taking you with me. And so that's kind of the end of the trip. It's not the end of the trip until you see the Memorial Day festivities. But it's dinner time now. Bon appetit. This has been a Jantastic Productions Presents. I hope you enjoyed it. It took the place of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I didn't have a guest. I shared my trip to Paris with you. This will be on again come Friday, 7 p.m. So join us. Au revoir. Ciao.